Hello, welcome back to the Libertarian Solution. I'm Nick Coons. I'm doing a Libertarian Solution video here, another listener email, which I got in just a couple of days ago. And it starts out saying, I recently finished reading The Revolution by Ron Paul. In it, Dr. Paul discusses getting back on the gold standard and off fiat currency. Unless I missed it, there isn't much detail on how to go about doing this. Do you have any comments or suggestions on this matter? And I know Ron Paul's a big supporter of a gold standard. I think he sees that as transitional. I don't know if he sees that as necessarily being as kind of the end. Because we were on a gold standard for a long time, for decades. It didn't really work out too well for us, and it didn't protect us against the Great Depression. Not to say that what we have now is any better, but we did have a government gold standard at some point, and that didn't work out too well. Because the problem is, government manipulates the price of gold, and they'll do other things to kind of screw it up. They'll fix the price of gold. They'll make gold illegal to own by private citizens. It's really not the way to go, and it's not because we shouldn't be using gold or other metals or diamonds or silver or whatever else for money. The issue is that it's government controlled. We have a government monopoly. Our currency isn't crap because it's paper or electronic or anything like that. It's crap because the government controls it, because it's a monopoly currency. The government has a monopoly on it, and so the solution is to get rid of the monopoly. Whenever we have monopolies in anything, whether it's currency or education or transportation or anything else, we tend to see pretty bad products and services there, especially when they're government granted monopolies. So we definitely, what we would want to do is get rid of the monopoly, and the simplest way to do that is not to abolish the Federal Reserve. That would be great, but I think that's just not going to happen. The best way to do that would be to get rid of legal tender laws. Right now, in the U.S., you have to use dollars for trade. As someone who is owed money, you have to accept dollars for the debts that are owed to you. Let me give you kind of an example here. Let's say that you and I make a trade, and we make a deal of some sort. We say that I'm going to give you a cow today, and next week you're going to give me 10 chickens, and that's what we determine is going to be a good value. And so next week, when it comes time for me to get my chickens from you, you say, you know what, I'm not going to give you chickens, I'm going to give you dollars instead. By law, I have to accept that. If you look at the face of a dollar bill, it says that this debt is legal tender. This note is legal tender for all debts, public and private. If I decide not to accept your dollars, I insist that I want the chickens, I reject the dollars, at that point, you can say the debt's been forgiven. Now you owe me nothing, and I get away with, or you rather get away with not having paid anything. So I'm forced into having to accept dollars. And that's what we have with the legal tender laws. You have to be able to accept dollars in the U.S. for anything that you're going to be selling. Of course, that's with anything that you have a debt for. If it's a point of sale type of thing, you can decide not to do that. But because everything's only payable in dollars because of legal tender laws, it's kind of a self-perpetuating thing. Things are always only payable in dollars. With rare exceptions, you ever get like private barter or anything like that. But for the most part, it's all dollar based. And we could use gold or silver or whatever else for currency, but it should be something determined by the market, not by the government. So, for instance, I might come along as a potential entrepreneur and decide I want to create currency. I want to compete with the Federal Reserve, and if we get rid of legal tender laws where you're required to use dollars, that would be perfectly acceptable. So I'm going to go ahead and coin my own money. I'll make my own silver coins or gold coins or copper coins or whatever else I think I can sell. And if it turns out that it's any good and people want to use it, then they will, and I'll do well. And if it's not, it's something people don't want to use, like I make them out of lead and nobody cares, then I'm not going to be in business for very long. If it turns out that I'm trying to make a silver coin that's 1 ounce and it's roughly $18, and I'm trying to pass it off as if it's worth $50 or $100, then no one's either no one's going to use it, or I'll get competition. Someone's going to undercut me. Someone's going to sell the same ounce of silver or create the same ounce of silver for less and be able to accept less for it. And eventually we'll have the standard free market equilibrium there. But there's no reason necessarily that things have to be denoted in dollars. Dollars is just a government term for the currency. We could be basically using anything for it. In fact, it wouldn't really be much of a problem to have floating exchanges between currencies, having multiple competing currencies, whether they're gold standard, silver standard, copper, diamonds, oil, whatever the basis is for them, or perhaps maybe no basis if that's what the market wants. It wouldn't really be a problem to have multiple currencies, kind of in the same way, especially because we have electronic transactions available. For instance, if I go out of the country, I go to Canada, and I take my Visa card with me, and I see something there that's priced in Canadian dollars for $10, I can swipe my Visa card. Doesn't make a difference. On the back end, my bank's going to do the math and charge me in US dollars. So I could say, I want to have a silver account or a gold account, and my account is measured in ounces of gold or ounces of silver, or tenths of an ounce, or whatever it is. That's what my bank statement says. That's where I keep all my money. I don't measure anything in dollars anymore. If I go to some place that sells stuff and they denote it in stones, there could be a floating exchange rate, and that floating exchange rate, of course, is based off of how many stones people want to give for an ounce of silver, or whatever it is people want to exchange for, and that exchange rate just kind of hits a natural equilibrium, and it floats around a little bit as it needs to, as the demand for silver goes up and stones goes down, or whatever it happens to be. And I just take my Visa card. You're selling something in stones, and I take my Visa card and I swipe it through, and it comes out of my account in silver. So it's really not a difficult thing to do, especially since we have electronic transactions. It's pretty simple to do. So ideally what we have to fix the currency issue, to fix government not being able to inflate the currency, to fix out-of-control spending, obviously they have a lot of control with controlling the currency. We get rid of that. The easiest way to do that is to get rid of the legal tender laws and let competing currencies exist. That's really all it would be. You wouldn't have to specifically put the government on a gold standard. It wouldn't be necessary. It would also be really difficult to do. So just that thing about getting rid of legal tender laws, I think, would go a long way. So if there's any questions or comments, we'd definitely be happy to answer those. You can send those in, a comment here on the video. You can send them into libertariansolution.com. You can contact us through our Facebook fan page, all sorts of different ways. And of course, don't forget to tune into the show. Would be interested in hearing any feedback. Thanks a lot.